Okay, on to John 9. And I put in my description of my other video that I want to hear your side. I really do this not to teach so much. I mean, although if someone needs some understanding, it could do that for you, but I really want to hear what you have to say about it, other Christians. I kind of need that reassurance that I'm not the only one thinking these things are different, or I don't know. So give me your thoughts too, or if you catch something in these passages that maybe I didn't catch, tell me and we could talk about it. I want to learn together, and it's just really interesting to me. So here's John 9, and from my video yesterday about Jesus healing anybody that he came across, and how so many Christians say, oh, we suffer for God's glory, and this is, anyways, that's not what Jesus said about this particular man's healing. He did talk about giving God glory, but not because the man was suffering or blind for his whole life. Okay, so here we go. While he was passing by, he noticed a man who had been blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, teacher, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he would be born blind? Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but it was so that the works of God might be displayed and illustrated in him. So I was reading how in Jewish tradition this was taught. Sin caused suffering and pain, afflictions, and sometimes it does. But that's not the way God intends. And if it's Jewish tradition, but actually I hear a lot of Christians talking like this too, that you need to repent or see why you're suffering or why things, I don't know. Anyways, I digress. But Jesus said, so that God can display his work. Okay, we must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. It sounds pretty like it's coming soon in his time. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world, giving guidance through my words and works. When he had said this, he spat on the ground and made mud with his saliva. That's my daughter playing in the background, don't mind that. And he spread the mud like an ointment on the man's eyes. And he said to him, go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is translated sent. So he went away and washed and came back seeing. So the neighbors and those who used to know him as a beggar said, is this not the man who used to sit and beg? Some said, it is he. Still others said, no, but he looks like him. But he kept saying, I am the man. So they said to him, how were your eyes opened? He replied, the man called Jesus made mud and smeared it on my eyes and told me, go to Siloam and wash. So I went and washed and received my sight. They asked him, where is he? He said, I do not know. Okay, so here come the Pharisees again. They brought him to the Pharisees, the followers of Moses' law. Now it was on a Sabbath day that Jesus made the mud and opened the man's eyes. So the Pharisees asked him again how he received sight, and he said to them, he smeared my mud on my eyes, and I washed, and now I see. Then some of the Pharisees said, this man Jesus is not from God, because he does not keep the Sabbath. So they're referring to the law that Moses was given. But others said, how can a man who is a sinner, a non-observant Jew, so anyone who's non-observant of the law is a sinner, do such signs and miracles? Bless you. You're welcome. So there was a difference of opinion among them. Accordingly, they said to the blind man again, what do you say about him since he opened your eyes? And he said, it must be that he is a prophet. So I won't read all of this. I'll go down a little bit. They bring in his parents. I kind of think it's funny they call his parents. Like, did they call them on the phone? That's kind of funny, isn't it? No, I don't know. They didn't say they went and got his parents down the road. It's just funny the way that's worded. They called him. They called them in and they said, he is born blind, and they were afraid of these religious leaders, so they said, ask him yourself. For the Jews had already agreed that if anyone acknowledged Jesus to be the Christ, he would be put out of the synagogue, excommunicated. Because of his parents said, he is of age, ask him. So, excommunicated, that's a Catholic term. That's interesting. Okay, now I'm on verse 24. I skipped a little bit. A second time they called the man who had been born blind and said to him, give God glory and praise for your sight. We know this man Jesus is a sinner separated from God. So they're trying to say, oh, God did this, not Jesus, because they denied Jesus was Yahweh. Then he answered, I do not know whether he is a sinner separated from God, but one thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I see. So they said to him, what did he actually do to you? And so they were upset. They weren't listening. He already told them what he did. And then they accused him of being Jesus' disciple versus they were Moses' disciples. Which again I said in the other video, who was Moses really? What... Jesus didn't promote Moses' teachings in these instances. We know for certain that God has spoken to Moses, but as for this man, we do not know where he is from. The man replied, well, this is astonishing. You do not know where he comes from, and yet he opened my eyes. We know, according to your tradition, that God does not hear sinners, but if anyone fears God and does his will, he hears him. Since the beginning of time, it has never been heard that anyone opened the eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not from God, he would not be able to do anything like this, because God would not hear his prayer. They answered him, you were born entirely in sins from head to foot, and you presume to teach us. Then they threw him out of the synagogue. Whoa, I mean, they, nasty. Nasty people. So Jesus heard, and he approached him. Do you believe in the Son of Man? He answered, who is he, sir? Tell me, so that I may believe in him. Jesus said to him, you have both seen him, and in fact, he is the one who is talking with you. And he said, Lord, I believe in you and your word. So he didn't call him teacher, he now calls him Lord. And he worshipped him with reverence and awe. And then Jesus said, I came into this world for judgment, to separate those who believe in me and those who reject me, to declare judgment on those who chose to be separated from God. Chose to be, so that the sightless would see and those who would see would become blind. Some Pharisees who were with him heard these things and said to him, are we also blind? Jesus said to them, if you were blind to spiritual things, you would have no sin and would not be blamed for your unbelief. But since you claim to have spiritual sight, you have no excuse, so your sin and guilt remain. That's an interesting statement too. So because they were willingly rejecting him, they were blind. So I would say, let's be careful that we are not willingly blinded, or else we're going against God. Very interesting conversations between the Pharisees and Jesus. Both with the adulterous woman in John 8 and John 9, with the blind man, Jesus healed them both and forgave them instantly, healed them instantly. It's just something to think about. Thanks for listening.